Hey guys, welcome to a new movie review. For today's movie review, I'm going to talk about the film The Impossible. It stars Naomi Watts, Ewan McGregor, and Geraldine Chaplin. Um, this film came out in 2012. It is based off of the real life tsunami event from, I believe, 2004. I think it happened around Christmas time that year. Um, this film focuses on a family that was a victim of the tsunami events. Um, that hit the beach, and everything got destroyed, and they managed actually to survive this really tragic tidal wave from the tsunami. Um, and this film focuses on kind of their story of how they survived it, what they did, kind of their experience at the hospital during their recovery, how the family got back together because they were very broken up during this whole event. Um, so it's a family of a mother, a father, and three children, and all three of them are boys. Um, Most of the film, it's basically a film that's kind of divided into two ways. And what I mean by that is there's one side of the story that focuses on the mother and one of the sons. Then there's another side of the story that focuses on the father, played by Ewan McGregor, and Naomi Watts played the mother. But there's the other side of the story is with the father and the two other sons, kind of how they came together and eventually met up with the mother and the other son. There was even a point in the film where the two boys are on their own while the father's trying to look for the mother and the other son, the one that wasn't a part of those two boys. Um, and so basically, like I said, the film it's kind of told in that way, and those two sides eventually come together so the family can be together again, like I guess it was in real life. Um, so this film was very good, you guys. It was very depressing. It did very much accurately depict what I remember of the tsunami events from the early 2000s. So let's get to the positives and negatives. I think the film did depict the event very well. Like I said, like the tsunami looked believable. The water was very dirty. Just very very tragic. A lot of people died from it. A lot of people got hurt from it. It was very hard to watch it on screen because like people were bleeding and you'd see them get scratches onto them. Um, if they ran into a tree, you would actually see that person being ran into the tree and stuff. So this film very much depicted what was shown on the news for this event, with people dying and this huge tidal wave coming in and just destroying everything in its path, pretty much. There was some buildings, I guess, that lasted, but for the most part, like it was just everything was washed up from what hit the water with these waves. Um, the film also does a good job making the film feel as tragic as the actual event was. It definitely was tragic, and that's my dehumidifier over there. It was just very very tragic, and just it was very hard to see all these people go and get hurt, and yeah, very very tragic film. Um, you do get the impression that these people are suffering and in pain the whole time. Naomi Watts really gets a lot of she really gets hurt from the tsunami. Like her legs are going, and she has problem with her lungs. She has stuff down her throat, which really is gruesomely depicted later on of what that is. Just really really in pain, and I'm sure there was a ton of makeup work in this film, and I'm sure they had to really get a big area reserved for this set. With all this water and all this damage. So it was very. I almost question how they kind of filmed the film, just because. It definitely needed a lot of space in order to film, all this huge environment with, like I said, everything destroyed and washed up and everything. The set designs are very good in this. It definitely had basically what you remember from TV from these events. Like it looked exactly like that place, with the hotel and the beaches and the people running around having a good time. And this randomly out of nowhere, this tsunami came. So the set designs in this were very, very well done. When something was dirty, you definitely got the impression that it was dirty. For negatives, you guys, the film is very slow at times. It is a kind of a little bit of a slow moving movie. The tsunami is introduced right away. Um, but for the most part, this is very slow, and there's definitely some times where the film feels like it has no idea where it's going. That being said, we don't really get to learn much about the family in this. Um, it basically it was maybe 10 to 20 minutes of this family arriving at this place, that they lived in Japan, and because the father was on business, and we learned that, and we learned that his job's in trouble, and that he might have to find a new job, and that the mother, who's a doctor, has to go back to the U.S. to work, and basically right after that, it jumps right into the tsunami stuff. So I think the film would have really greatly benefited if we got to learn more about the family, so we could, definitely, pity with them more. Um, like I said, I just think it would have been more interesting if we got to learn more about this family so we can sympathize with them more throughout the film because we really didn't get to learn about them. So, if anything, they kind of just felt as tragic as everybody else walking around the film that was impacted by the tsunami. And I really wish the film would have made this family feel special in some ways, really made us uh, care about them without just putting the whole tsunami event into effect. I think if they really found a way to make this family feel special, and you really had a reason to root for them. I think the film would have greatly benefited from that again. Um, like I was saying a little bit earlier, the film does lose its direction very quickly. Um, Basically, the tsunami happens, they're recovering, and there's this huge, huge dead time with the father looking for the family members he hasn't found yet. Um, the young boy watching the mother recover in the hospital is trying to help people out, and it just kind of loses direction after a while. This film has very bad replay value. What I mean by that is it's definitely not a film that I could see myself watching like several more times. It just doesn't seem like the kind of film that I would always want to come back to and watch. There's just so many depressing images in this film that I really can't see someone wanting to go back and watching this several more times. It just really isn't that kind of film. And because of that, I really don't think The Impossible is as good as several other films that came out in 2012 because there's a lot of films that year that do have a lot of replay value that you do want to go back and watch those films several more times, and unfortunately The Possible is in that movie. The film is also almost too gruesome at times. There's just a lot of I know they have to try to make it look, really tragic and sad and stuff, but like there was just some really, really gruesome images in this, and you almost really wanted it to stop after a while. It's just, it felt very numbing after a while because there's just so many gruesome images that you have to experience throughout the film. Um, but overall, guys, I do give The Impossible an 8 out of 10. It is a good film. It's a very well made film. You definitely get the impression that these people, like I said, are in pain and in suffering, and it's depicting the event very well. Naomi Watts and Ewan McGregor and all the people who had to act like they were in pain throughout the film really were convincing. You really did get the impression that they had all these wounds and damages done to their body and to this environment where the tsunami hit. Um, it's a good film, but like I said, the replay value in this I think is really going to hurt the film. It just really is not a film that I could see somebody watching several more times. It just really is not that kind of film. Um, so The Impossible, guys, it's good. Maybe check it out once. Like I said, don't own it. I would definitely just rent it. It's definitely not worth owning. It's just one of those films, like I said, where you're just gonna watch it once and probably never watch it again. But it is a good film, though. It's like I said, it's well made, and if you want to see a film that really depicts the tsunami events really well, this might be the right film.